What is going on, guys? So last night I finally had a chance to see Black Widow, and I didn't originally plan on doing a review for it, but after seeing it, I do have some thoughts that I'd like to give on it. So to be perfectly honest, I really wasn't that excited to see this movie. I was more intrigued to see it because it had been delayed for so long and because it had been so long since we got an MCU movie in theaters. And I avoided all the trailers and any marketing that I could, so I didn't really have many expectations for it. The only real expectation I had is that for some reason I thought that this was a full Black Widow prequel showcasing her origin before any of her other MCU appearances. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it was just a conclusion I jumped to. Maybe I had read it somewhere at some point, but either way, that's what I thought the movie was going to be going in. Now, I have seen a couple of reviews whose takes are similar to my own, but generally speaking, if you were to do a quick search of the audience and critic scores, it seems that most people really liked this movie. I'm not one of them. Because being perfectly honest, Black Widow is not a great movie. In fact, it's actually pretty bad. Now, my biggest problem with the movie was the script and the story. I can't go into great detail without this being a spoiler review, but in general, I found that the script was kind of messy and that the story was focused in all the wrong places. Now, again, I do admit that part of this is because of my own preconceived notion that this was going to be a full prequel. I did not know that a majority of it was going to be set right after the events of Civil War. But either way, this doesn't change that to me, the movie skipped over all of the really important stuff that we actually needed to see. Because I was actually very hooked at the beginning when we got that first flashback of Natasha Romanoff's childhood. It kind of piqued my interest and it made me curious to learn more about her backstory and how she became the person that we see in the other MCU films. But unfortunately, the movie opts to skip over all that in the opening credits with a very oddly edited montage that has a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit for some reason. So Black Widow's life in the Red Room, her career as an assassin, her first meeting with Hawkeye, and her eventual defect to S.H.I.E.L.D. Basically, all of the elements that are crucial to this movie's story, we just skip over all of it, and I honestly don't understand why. And I just couldn't fully get into the movie after that because the story is built on past events that we only get vague explanations for later. So instead of getting to really connect with these characters and really understand what's going on, we just get several repetitive exposition scenes and brief flashbacks that only make the story more confusing. So by the end of the movie, I didn't really feel that Natasha had grown or developed all that much as a character. I didn't feel that I grew more connected to her, that I understood her on a deeper level. I really didn't feel much of anything beyond irritation at some of the movie's choices. And one of the biggest sources of irritation for me was, and I know I should expect this with a Marvel movie, but it's really the writing and the comedy. Because even though a majority of this should be a very serious story, you know, we just gotta have that comedy even if it doesn't fit. We gotta turn the characters into buddy cop characters even if it doesn't make sense for them to be interacting that way. We just get so many scenes like that that take away the tension or feel out of character or contradict what was set up about these relationships earlier in the movie that it just becomes frustrating. Black Widow's family is no exception to this. The Red Guardian, although very entertaining and the actor really gives it his all, he's honestly just kind of a joke of a character through a good portion of the movie and not in a good way. Her sister, who was honestly one of the best parts in the movie, and that actress did a phenomenal job, but even with her, there were plenty of moments that felt out of character for her given the circumstances that she's been in her entire life. And I honestly didn't know how to feel about the mom because they didn't try to start developing her again until later in the movie, and even then she kind of goes a little back and forth. So maybe that's actually my biggest problem, is just the way the script tries to handle a lot of these characters just doesn't seem to make sense a lot of the time, so I just don't feel I can really connect with them. Now, I know I am being pretty hard on this movie, even though it's one I said I wasn't particularly excited for, and I think that's just because I've become so accustomed to the MCU TV shows that we've been getting on Disney+. They've shown that even post-Endgame we can have fun, entertaining, and well-crafted MCU stories that really have time to develop their characters in a meaningful way. But then comes a movie like Black Widow, which is just another fun 2-hour blockbuster with a weak script, and I start to feel that doubt again. I start to feel that fear that there is no real future for the MCU and that I'm just shelling out money to the Disney empire that is destroying traditional cinema to pump out more generic superhero movies. I'm exaggerating, of course, but you get the idea. So yeah, guys, I was really not a fan of Black Widow. But like I said, there are other factors in my disappointment, and as far as MCU movies go, I guess it's not offensively bad. I did still have some fun with a lot of the action and a few of the twists and turns, so if you're just looking for a fun time at the movies, then maybe you'll be more forgiving of the script than I was. So for now, I'm just gonna focus on the MCU content that I have been enjoying recently and just hope that the next batch of movies we get will be a little little more to my liking. So with all that said, I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. What did you think of Black Widow? Have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree with my review? Whatever it is, feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments and let me know what you think. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Also be sure to check out my other videos. It really does mean a lot. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for my next review.